Hello everybody and welcome to VFR, and today we are taking a look at the newly updated world, so to speak. World Update number 7 is here, and we are in the land down under, Australia. We're going to be doing a fairly casual flight out here from Shellharbour Airport, up the coast to the north, through Sydney. We're going to fly up Sydney Harbour, and then fly all the way out to Bathurst, past a few of the newly added landmarks in World Update 7. So, as you can see, this is one of the 4 handmade airports that comes with the World Update. This one's really great. It's a great practice area for if you wanted to fly general aviation. The scenery is great. And it does feel very active. You have a big old, if you look over there, there's a big static 747. There's some other cool airplanes around. Lots of hangars. Lots of stuff. It feels really, really good. We're over here. This is us, the Diamond DA62. We're going to be flying this up. An old friend. I haven't flown the DA62 in a while, so this is going to be basically a sightseeing flight. And yeah, we are going to take a little quick look around here before we get on our way. Alright, so we are here holding short runway 34, ready to go in our Diamond DA62. Now, we are using the DA62X mod from flightsim.to. Hopefully have it updated. And the working title mod as well should be installed. We're basically going to depart straight out to the north and follow the coast visually till we hit Sydney. Then we will turn up Sydney Harbour and we'll be on our way. Lights are on. We are just going to advance the throttles. And away we go. Alright, so we are on our way, and we are flying alongside Wollongong now. Of course, I don't know how you say that in Australian, so you'll have to bear with me, all you Australians. But a coastal city, we are flying basically north, up the east coast of Australia, and it's just a little bit up the road is going to be Sydney. Now, we did get, of course, Shellharbour Airport. There's a few others. One out in the outback, one kind of inland a little bit. I haven't played around with all of them, but I did go up to Mount Beauty, which was another fun GA airport. I think these airports skew a little bit smaller, so these would be really good for GA or small commercial flights, so maybe even like a Twin Otter, who knows. So there's a lot of good ones out there, and then out in the outback as well. We also got new photogrammetry cities, including updates to Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Hobart, Adelaide, Perth, Cairns, Darwin, Townsville, Mackay, and Bunbury. Or again, however you say it all in Australian. So it should be a really interesting update. I mean, Australia is a fascinating place to fly. Just because it's so big and so varied. You kind of have this sliver of kind of temperate green area with beaches and somewhat normal, and then you go a little bit inland across the mountains, and you're hitting big open plains, and eventually the outback, which again is just massive. So maybe an outback crossing in our future, who knows? going out. We've done a little bit of flying out in Western Australia. That was YSHL the King Air. Another good flight. That was around Perth. But yeah, further inland, further north, there's a lot of cool places to explore in Australia. So if you're looking for somewhere to get to know a little bit better, definitely a good one. And I think this World Update gets you on the right path. So a little bit of Australian geography just while we're cruising up north to Sydney. There's an east part, there's a west part, there's a big middle part that's pretty empty. There's also a south part, and Tasmania. And there's New Zealand. But anyway, we started out just south of Sydney, here at Shellharbour, YSHL. And we're basically tracking north along the coast here, and then we're going to see a big old city out in front of us. That's going to be Sydney. Now, past Sydney International Airport, we're going to go all the way up to this body of water, which is Sydney Harbour. And then we are going to turn left and basically follow the harbour and then the river. And we're just going to follow basically the road. There's a highway that'll run north into the mountain, or to the west into the mountains. We will follow that along until we hit a small-ish town right here, which is where the Three Sisters are going to be. That's, quote, an interesting rock formation. We will see. And then we're going to keep it on going out here to Bathurst. And now Bathurst is interesting. For you racing fans, that is where the Bathurst Mount Panorama racetrack is. And the racetrack is modeled in the sim, so that's pretty cool. I believe that is a new addition. Now, Sydney Harbour had some love before. I think Sydney Airport is a pre-existing handmade airport in some tier of the sim. We're just going to do a quick flyby and see if we can spot any of the new harbour add-ons. I'm not an expert in Sydney, so bear with me. And if you see stuff that you're excited about, drop that in the comment section below. And we're coming up on the southern reaches of Sydney now at this point. We are going to use our powers as the only human in the world right now to vector ourselves over Sydney International Airport. And then we'll kind of turn over the harbor to the left and follow that up. Going kind of low and kind of slow. We may descend actually to about 1,500 feet. Alright, so we've given Sydney Airport a little buzz. We're going to fly just to the east of downtown, and then we will kind of loop around and fly up up Sydney Harbour. Now, Sydney, of course, is the most populous city in the state of New South Wales, Australia, also the state capital. And so this is Sydney, one of the metropolises of Australia. The most populous city in the state of New South Wales, Australia, and Oceania as a whole. Basically, we have one large city stretching, really, as far as the eyes can see, out to the mountains to the west where we are going to be heading. Obviously, the Sydney Opera House is pretty iconic. Also, the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Two landmarks which we can see right off of our left wing. But there are a lot of other ones that have been added in World Update VII, and I can't rattle them off, but I do believe there's a pier complex and some other stuff around the city. Sydney photogrammetry has also been updated, so we get a better representation of the city from here. And it is a really neat view. So we're going to make a left-hand turn. And just maintain altitude as we fly up Sydney Harbour. So on that run, we did get a pretty good view of a couple of the major points of interest. We saw the Luna Pier, which was just before the bridge. That would be Sydney Harbour Bridge, the big one. And then up the river further, we saw Gladesville Bridge, which is another addition to the sim. There are a lot around the cities, and really every city has its own kind of collection. So we do have some good options, I think, at most of the big Australian cities. All right, so we're going to keep on trucking out west. We're going to climb up probably to about 4,000 or 5,000 feet so we can get over the mountains. And our next stop on this trip through New South Wales is the Three Sisters. All right, so we're about 10 miles to the east of the Three Sisters, which is a popular tourist attraction east of Sydney in the Blue Mountains. And we're going to be flying through it. Towers over the Jameson Valley, close to the town of Katoomba. And again, one of the most popular sites for sightseers to come and see the Three Sisters. So we are going to try and pick it out. I have a waypoint roughly set in Little Nav Map, but I'm not sure exactly where it is, and I haven't been here before. So we're gonna, if we have to, we may orbit the town a little bit and try and pick it out. And in total, this is we're probably 15, 20 minutes outside of Sydney at this point from downtown. So you're not too far from the big city, and you're making you have some interesting terrain to fly into now. We're gonna go ahead and take control from the automatic pilot and just kind of guide ourselves in. So I'm cheating and looking at the little nav map, but I'm also looking at the towns, knowing we have to be south of the town along this ridge into the valley. Now, if you really wanted to, you could turn on the points of interest as well. That's one way to do it. Nothing wrong with that. But I enjoy a little bit of hunting, especially in this kind of... it feels a little more like scavenger hunt. Well, I think we got him. It's a really great scenery out here. And that's one of the cool things about Australia is you can go just over there. You can still see Sydney back in the background. And then you've got this kind of almost Grand Canyon-esque, not quite, but Grand Canyon-esque views. 30-minute flight time. And we can keep on going further, and we're going to get a lot of diversity in our flight, which is a really nice part of Australia. There are the Three Sisters. We're seeing them from not the other side, not where folks on the ground would be seeing them from. It's just one of those local landmarks that I, wouldn't know anything about without Microsoft Flight Simulator. Alright, so as we cross out of the Blue Mountains, you also see a bit more transformation, a little bit more change in the geography. We're going to be heading out to more flatlands, but still hilly, as we head towards Bathurst. Now, in particular, we're going to be flying over one more landmark added with World Update VII, and that is the Bathurst Racing Circuit. Bathurst Mount Panorama Racing Circuit, in particular, home of the Bathurst 12 Hours, presented by Liqui-Moly in 2022. This is basically an endurance race for those of you who don't follow racing. I feel like it's usually relatively early-ish in the season. Always exciting. And yeah, it's a big race, big event here in Australia. And yeah, it's a really cool and unique circuit because it has a lot of elevation change. So we're modeled in Flight Simulator now, and we're going to fly over it. Alright, so we're closing in on the circuit just off of our nose. Now, the Bathurst Mount Panorama track is actually, it's a street circuit. It's a normal road during the day and in non-race times. People's houses are along it. So it's actually kind of interesting. It basically is unique because it has a big elevation change. So it drives up this kind of ridge line here. And it's pretty tough to drive if you ever tried to drive it in your favorite simulator of choice. So, but it is good fun, and yeah, you have a 12-hour endurance race here every year. I'm going to go ahead and take control, and we'll probably bank to the right, and kind of start descending a little bit. Now, Bathurst Airport, where we're going to be going to land after this, is just off our left wing, or just off our left front quarter here. Alright, we're over Bathurst Circuit now. If we dip our wing down, that's kind of the main racetrack area. You can see it just on the road. And it basically, again, goes out kind of behind us onto the mountains. We're going to circle around and fly along just a little bit more. But it is a cool thing. We got low fuel, which can be solved with our pumps. So there is the Bathurst Mount Panorama Circuit. You can see kind of the main straight and pit area off our nose, and then up on the mountain, such as it is. Basically, the racetrack, you can see it snaking up the hills that way, and then up on the mountain they have a little bit of land art. So again, really cool circuit. If you haven't watched the Bathurst 12 Hours, that's definitely worth tuning in for a little bit if you're at all interested in Australian racing cars. Alright, we are going to basically keep on heading back out the way we came in and then make a left-hand turn to come into land on runway 35 at Bathurst. That's YBTH. Field's going to be at 2,400 feet or thereabouts. We're at 3,600 feet, so we're actually pretty good in terms of altitude. We're really just now going to be trying to get on speed and line ourselves up nicely. We're going to make straight in. Again, we're clearing ourselves because we're the only humans in the world at the moment. And this has been a fun little flight. I really, to be honest, haven't paid that much attention to world updates in the past. I don't know if this is something we should do more of. Just planning some VFR flights. It is a good excuse to go do a VFR flight, to go see a big landmark somewhere. So, you know, there may be more of that in the future. I have enjoyed kind of seeking this out today. And, yeah, I feel like I know a little bit more about Australia. It is a fun place to fly. And, yeah, we should try and fly more in this continent. Up next, the World Update VIII, I believe, is Spain and Portugal. So stay tuned for that. We have a good chunk of Europe covered, and in the U.S. So there are a lot of good world updates already out, and we may have to revisit some of them. And it's going to yell at me to check gear.
Check gear.
This is my first DA62 landing in quite some time, so do bear with me.
Check gear.
And we got the runway in sight. Just a touch foggy, maybe a little more foggy than I'd be comfortable with. We'll start bringing our flaps out. And get set up for final approach. So I figured, since we're in Australia, it's probably cool to go off-road. Everything I know about Australia is from Top Gear and F1s, so it seemed like going into the dirt would be encouraged. Instead of backtracking on the runway, but, you know, who knows. So, that was fun. Good fun flight, good fun VFR flight. So if you're looking for something to do, you're twiddling your thumbs, looking for something to do in World Update VII, there's lots to explore in Australia, and I definitely recommend it. Yeah, we'll probably do a little bit more of this kind of flying in the future, because I feel like there's a lot of flight sim that I just haven't really been paying attention to. But this is World Update VII. It's pretty good. It's free, so download it or don't. You're an independent human, so it's up to you. But it does come with the sim, and I think it adds a lot if you want to fly in Australia. So thanks for coming along. If you have any questions, comments, ideas for other episodes, drop in the comment section below. As always, this has been VFR. Take it easy, y'all.